Geographical location. The Republic of South Sudan is a landlocked country in East Central Africa. It is bordered by Sudan in the north, Ethiopia in the east, Uganda in the south, the Democratic Republic of the Congo to the southwest, and the Central African Republic to the west. The country is divided into 10 states in 3 regions: Upper Nile, Equatoria, and Bahr el Ghazal. The capital city is Juba. It has a population of 11.3 million. There is a number of indigenous groups also, and the largest is the Dinka. Historical influences on current food practices. South Sudan is a new country. It gained independence from Sudan, the north, in 2011. It was plagued by decades of civil war. The Arabs of the north between the Africans of the south, clashing over everything, from religion, land, oil, resources, culture, and political sovereignty. It is a country trying to find its feet after a long history of conflict. 2 rounds of civil war, the last one from 1983 to 2005, leaving 2 million people dead and about 4 million displaced from their homes. The diverse cuisine is a testament to its turbulent past. The South Sudanese cuisine has been heavily influenced by its neighbouring countries in the east and also by Arabic cuisine. Current day culinary practices. The main staple foods of South Sudan are millet, sorghum, cassava, yam, sweet potato, wheat consumed as bread, milk, and maize. Nut and sesame oils are the main sources of oil. Asida, a type of porridge, is eaten with almost every meal. It is eaten as a side dish with a main meal. A piece is cut using the right hand, mould between the fingers, creating a dip in the middle. Then the main meal, stew, meats, or vegetables, are scooped in and eaten. A special bread called kisra is also consumed as a staple with meals and is made from durum or corn. Sweet hot tea is also consumed at any time of the day, breakfast, after a meal, with a guest, any occasion really. Meat like beef, mutton, goat, or chicken is the main protein source. Pork is still rarely eaten, even though the predominant religion in the south is Christian. Spices, nuts, and seeds, particularly peanuts, are also an integral part of this cuisine. Spices like garlic, peppers, cinnamon, cardamom, and coriander were brought by the Syrian and other Arab traders during the Turkish rule. Food preparation and cooking is typically the task of the women, and it consumes a large part of their day. Food is stored in a clay pot fridge called a zeepot. It's an earthenware clay pot set inside another with a layer of wet sand in between. As the moisture evaporates, it cools the inner pot to ensure food preservation. A variety of cookery techniques are used, such as smoking, mainly for fish. Meat and vegetables are stewed, grilled, and frying over hot coals. Food availability, climate, and religious beliefs are major factors attributing to the regional variations in food consumption in South Sudan. Freshwater fish is eaten in inland areas, and sea fish is consumed along the Red Sea coast. In Equatoria, asida is made from bafa, which is a plant from the potato family. Even though South Sudan is predominantly Christian, as I mentioned before, pork is very rarely eaten, even avoided. Other regional variations include the landscape differs from region to region with tropical forests, swamps, and grasslands. With approximately 60 indigenous tribes, the diversity can be quite significant between the groups, from language, religion, and food. Celebratory and special meals. There are a number of traditional and celebratory food, but it all begins with a sheep or a goat. Children's birthdays are celebratory. Red punch is made from hibiscus flowers. South Sudan has been heavily influenced by its Middle Eastern neighbours, and this is reflected heavily in its cuisine, with the use of Arab-traded spices. Unique to the South is the use of peanut butter to thicken sauces. This map identifies the agricultural production regions of South Sudan and shows you the different regions where their staple foods are grown. Key commodity comparisons to Australian data. Here shows the top graph a trend of staple foods in South Sudan. It shows how it fluctuates very rapidly over the years as a result of decades of civil war. The bottom graph is Australia and shows a staple food, wheat, that has had relatively steady growth with some decline over the years, but generally comes back to a rise. The migration pattern to Australia and exposure to their food culture. Through humanitarian projects in 2001, Australia saw an influx of South Sudanese migrants. Between 2001 and 2006, displaced Sudanese refugees settled mainly in capital cities, Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, with about 10% settling in rural areas. These Sudanese communities had already established. There isn't a lot of exposure of the South Sudanese food culture in Australia. There are some African restaurants dotted around capital cities, but unemployment of South Sudanese migrants is at about 26%. Presence and integration of food culture in Australia. There are various community groups set up to help displaced South Sudanese refugees adjusting to their new home country, like SAIL, Sudanese Australian Integrated Learning. But there isn't a lot in the way of food culture. Of course, there are a few restaurants specialising in Sudanese food, but it doesn't have a huge presence in Australia. One way of exposing Australians to South Sudanese food is during multicultural festivals that happen at various times of the year in major cities. This is an excellent way to introduce the community to food from other countries and promote awareness. Here is an excellent example of a South Sudanese Australian youth group had an event in Melbourne. Thank you.